Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Laugh Life podcast. We are back from our season break, and we are ready to begin the second half of our season. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi. I feel like I haven't heard that intro in a really long time, and it's good to be back.
I know, right? It's so nice to see all your faces. So how were your holidays? It was a long break. Wow. Feels like we haven't been together for a really long time. This felt almost longer than the summer one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything interesting happen over the holidays for you guys?
I don't think I had anything interesting as far as alcohol related. This was my fourth single Christmas, and it was definitely a more peaceful feeling, happy feeling. Had a really good holidays, really relaxing. And yeah, I would say the three before that, I felt pretty sad to be single, but
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I feel kind of like that too, because this is another single Christmas for me. And we all stayed booze free, right? Did we all stay booze free?
Yes, that's the thing.
Yes.
That's the main thing. I was
Okay.
not sad and I did not drink. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too, Cal. Me too. I was
There you
not
go.
sad and I did not drink. I just loved waking up on Christmas Day without a hangover. I loved waking up on New Year's Day the same way. And I love how dry January and now dry February is really being promoted. Like I'm seeing a lot of ads for that stuff.
That's great. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of that too. And I
Mhm.
was really excited the other day. He sent me an alcohol-free bar that's opening in Brandon, Manitoba. So that was pretty
Oh,
exciting to
awesome.
see this pop up. Yeah, so those things are
That's
popping
exciting.
up, and yeah,
How far is Brandon from you guys, Kel?
2 hours.
2 hours,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Well, you could drive there because you don't drink.
For
and drive
sure.
home.
True. It is not a very exciting drive through the
Yeah,
prairies, but
yeah.
you know.
You could make like a girls' weekend out of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped in Brandon, Manitoba. That's where I stayed overnight when I drove out to Calgary.
Mm.
That was our
Yeah,
first
that makes
stop.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what about you, Mike? Anything exciting happened to you? You were just talking about how you went to a 50th birthday party, so they must have been some heavy drinking there.
Yeah, I went to 50, bought a shot and had to
Throw it over your shoulder.
Decline it?
Oh no.
No
The
way.
Pass it on down the
boy-
line?
Well, the birthday boy ended up drinking 3. So that also was drinking too.
How was that? Like, how did you feel when that happened?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I think people just are used to it now. I don't have to explain myself, and I don't think anybody should have to explain themselves. I went to Myrtle Beach. I went golfing, which was interesting. That the last round we played with these two guys, older guys. And the guy said, "Oh, you guys are from Canada. Do you drink Labatt Blue?" And I just kind of looked at him. I said, "Oh, I don't drink." And he's like, "Oh." And it was kind of like what do you mean you don't drink? Like it was that, I was like, "Yeah, I just don't drink." And he's like, "Oh, cool." And then he just kind of turned it off. But it didn't really change the round because sometimes when you golf, most of the times guys are drinking or
Right.
having a beer or whatnot.
How did you find the whole trip, Mike? Because I think you were a little concerned about that.
Sorry, can you say that again?
How did you find the whole trip? Because I think there was some discussion before about you being concerned or talking about staying on your own.
No, that was more or less the company that I went with. Actually, he's my good buddy. And I started to reflect like a lot of the trips I've gone on in the past, say, 12, 15 years when I've gone away with him. It's always been a drink, drink, drink. And this is the first trip that I ever gone away with him where I wasn't drinking. And I was like, holy shit, I don't know if I can handle you for this long. We had our own kind of areas where we kept apart, and he didn't really drink too much, and he didn't do it because I was there. He just chose not to do it. It wasn't difficult, but it was also a definite learning experience, that's for sure. And I guess planning better on what to do on those things besides golf. So
Right. Well, that's good.
it was
Well,
fun. It was fun to get away. It was fun to get away
all in all, it turned out then. That's good.
for the most part.
Yeah, my family had an alcohol-free Christmas, so that was awesome.
Wow. Oh my
That's
God.
amazing.
Yeah, we made that alcohol-free punch, which was fun, that I posted on our page. And it
That
was neat.
looks like it was out of a magazine.
It was awesome. My mom found the recipe and we threw
Wow.
it together, and my mom's a little Martha Stewart like that. So she always makes things look and taste good. But it was cool because the kids could have it too, right? They think
Yeah.
it's neat to have
Yeah.
it out of like a fancy punch glass. And
I love
yeah,
that.
so it was kid friendly too. But yeah, it was really nice. Really nice.
That's amazing. Any like, comments or anything like that from the drinkers that were there? The fact that it was an alcohol-free event?
No. But I've been to quite a few events over the holidays. I went to a couple work events, and for me, navigating that has been a little new because I'm at a new company too, right? So the previous company I was at, I was there when I stopped drinking. So a lot of people knew I was kind of going through that transition of making that decision for myself. So now I'm at a new company. Everybody's just getting to know me. So the events I've been to, it's the automatic assumption is that you drank. So people are offering you a drink. So I've been in a lot of scenarios now. I'm getting really good practice at saying, no, I don't drink. I wanted to talk to you guys about and how you navigate this. And maybe it's different for you guys because even prior to not drinking, I had a certain rule for this type of interaction with people I work with. I don't normally add people I work with to my social media. And this was even prior to not drinking or having a podcast. It has nothing to do with that. I just kind of try to keep business and pleasure separate. And because I do post a lot of personal stuff on my social media, I don't necessarily want people I work with always to know all these personal things about me, depending on what my relationship is with them. So I kind of try to keep those things separate. And then normally after I leave a company or if I've moved on and I'm friends with people, then I add them after the fact. So I had it happen to me at my last organization. A girl added me on social media as I was leaving. And she's like, oh my God, you got a podcast? I didn't know that. That's so cool, blah, blah, blah type of thing. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't tell people I work with typically about the podcast because to me, again, it's personal and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm actually super proud of it. It's like one of my most proud accomplishments. But it's more the fact that I think when you don't know people, there's always room for judgment. And in a workplace, it's a little bit different. So I do find if somebody asks me, I'm always open. I'm always going to give them an open, honest answer. I've had people ask me why I don't drink, and I'll say, oh, I stopped drinking 2 years ago. I used to drink, blah, blah, blah. But I find it a little more difficult to navigate in a work setting. So just recently, I've become pretty friendly with one of my employees, and we've built a pretty good relationship. So she went to add me on Instagram. And again, nobody I work with right now knows I have a podcast. I mean, it's not a secret. They could Google me at any time and they're going to see I have a podcast because that's one of the first things that pop up. But at the same time, it's just not something I've openly talked to anybody about there. So I didn't have a problem adding this particular person because I trust them and I'm building a friendship with them. But I wanted to kind of preemptively tell them I do have a podcast and this is a bit about me. And instead of them just adding to my social media and going, oh, whoa, like, look at this type of thing. So I'm just curious if you guys have been under that situation and how you would deal with it.
Well, all of my social media is completely public.
Me too.
Oh,
Me
okay.
too.
Right.
So
See?
I don't even have to approve a follower on
That's me.
Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, Trace, and I haven't been in any sort of like corporate job for almost 20 years. I've been
Right.
self-employed and social selling. So I kind of made the decision to put everything out there. The only boundary I have, I would say, is my kids. If my kids don't want me to post a picture of them, then I don't. I was pretty conscious of that when they were little and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just have the mindset of like, I decided to make all of this completely public. You never know who you're going to reach. And maybe somebody would be too shy to add me as a friend, but then at least they can see everything on there, like where to find the podcast and all that stuff. So yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
that's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah. See, my profiles are not public.
Mhm.
And I've always kept them private for Maddie's sake,
Right. Yeah.
especially when she was younger. I do make sure that I'm kind of strict about who I add on there and not for that reason. I'm just more protective of her. I told this girl flat out, I'm not embarrassed of this.
Mhm.
It's something I'm actually really proud of, but I just want you to know because it's not public knowledge here. So
Mhm.
I'm telling you because I want you to understand where I'm coming from before you just see it on social media. And just to tell her too that I wouldn't just add anybody on social media because I wouldn't just add any of my employees, but I've established a relationship with her, so I'm comfortable with that. So I
Mhm.
felt it important to have the conversation for that reason too. So she understands that I have added you, but I'm not going to go around adding everybody else we know here type of thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
I don't even think about it. I just share the crap out of our podcast on my stories and on my Instagram. And like Kelly said, my accounts are open and they're public. So anybody like coworkers, and I'm friends with a lot of my coworkers on social media, so people can openly see that we have this podcast and I'm alcohol free. Sometimes I get questions.
Mhm.
I've had questions from coworkers about like, hey, like, why don't you drink? And I've actually had group conversations. We'll kind of, catch up with each other with coffee on a Monday morning and the topic will come up. And I'm really proud about it. I think if somebody has an issue with it, they can unfollow me. I am just super open and transparent with who I am, and it's part of who I am. So, yeah, I'm like, this is me. And if you don't like it, then don't follow me.
Yeah, I'm not so much worried about that. It's more so, I
Yeah.
guess, the fact that I think being new, being in a position of leadership,
Mhm.
because I have a higher management role in
Mhm.
my organization,
Mhm.
that it's just more so there's other things that go with that that are a challenge as it is. There's caution around the fact that people could use that against you, I guess,
Yeah.
is somewhat of a
Well,
concern.
hmm Well, yes. So I've been
Yeah.
in a management position for almost my whole career, and I've definitely lost followers, and people don't want to see some of the things that I post, but that's the choice. That's the choice that I've made. But I also can't be fired from my job. So
Yeah.
I don't have a boss.
Well, yeah,
I don't have a boss.
I don't think you can be fired for having a podcast about being alcohol
No.
free. Like, even if upper management or your supervisor found out about it, there's that's a
Mhm.
whole HR issue in itself. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no way. What would be the negatives about it? What are you worried about that this staff member, this employee of yours, like,
I'm
Like I
not
said,
worried about that employee
yeah.
at all. I'm just
Oh,
saying,
good.
just there's some people don't all have good intentions. And there's
Mhm.
some people that are super nosy that are going to dig into everything. And then if that person is on the wrong side of something one day, you don't know how they're going to utilize that information, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's part of the position I'm in too. You're already in a vulnerable position to be judged and to be held to a certain regard.
Mhm. I would think you would be held in a higher regard. I don't
Mhm.
know, like
Absolutely.
this is a lifestyle that, like, if you were posting on Facebook about, and I see people do this, about all the drinking that you're doing and all the drugs that you're doing, like that would be like, ooh, I don't want my staff on here. I've seen coworkers posting their weekend pictures, and I'm like, I don't think that's a great idea. Like,
Yeah.
about that, but living alcohol free and being on your wellness journey, I think that's inspiring.
Yeah.
All your
Yeah.
stuff is inspiring, Tracy.
All of it.
Your food stuff, like everything that you
Yeah.
post.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Thank
don't
you
see
guys.
how
Thanks.
anybody could find anything negative in that. I think
No.
yeah.
No, and again, I don't feel that way. Just there has been hesitation just for the fact that unfortunately, I don't think everybody is made equal or sees things the same way.
No.
And I've already
But you
had,
Very true.
you know,
But okay, this is the way I see this. So you're going to put something out there like a creative project, a work project. As long as you're in line with your own integrity, that's all that matters.
Oh, that's so good.
What other people perceive that to be is up to them, and you have zero control over any of that. So making the decision to put anything out in the world, is you take the risk of being
Right.
judged, right? There's always a risk of being judged. The only way to avoid that is to stay in a safe little bubble and not put anything out into the world. And that
Mhm.
seems kind of boring to me.
I love the way you put that. You just worded that so perfectly. So good, Kelly.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks, Kel.
Yeah, I struggled
was
with that though.
helpful.
I struggled with social media with my business because one of the big things for me was I didn't want to come across as somebody who was bragging because
Mhm.
Yes.
lifestyle posts are important in a business like I am in, things like that. But it's always fear of judgment. It always goes
Yes.
back to
Yeah.
fear of judgment.
Absolutely.
And guess what? People judge no matter what. Anyway, a lot of your friends that you've already let in and let them see that, they're judging you anyway.
True.
Sorry.
You're right. You're right. You're very right. Well,
I
thank you for
guess,
that
yeah.
tidbit. See, I just had to
Yeah.
talk it out.
Yeah.
Now I know.
And I think too, in a business like social selling, if you're going to lose customers because you're posting about being alcohol free, so be it. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
you've got to align with who you are. And just like you said, stick with integrity.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
and your people will find you and they'll support you. And the ones that don't aren't your people anyways.
Right.
So
True. Very true.
There's a saying, and it's you can't make everybody happy. You're not ice cream
or pizza.
or
Mhm.
pizza.
All right. Mike, you got any input on that? I see you holding your
The
mic there.
non-social media.
I
Mike.
see Mike
I
holding
would
your mic.
say, fuck them all.
Yeah.
That's
Woo.
me. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, eh, Mike?
Yeah,
see.
well, I got off social media for a number of reasons, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to have somebody do social media for my businesses, but so I'd be a liar to say if I don't see it, but it's all business, not personal. So
Right.
I think probably in the beginning, I was still on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
for a little while, and I wouldn't go on there and see men are different. So at least in my opinion, I wouldn't go on there and announce my sobriety or anything like that for probably that exact reason. And then you get labeled as, oh, you pussy, oh, this and all that. And like men are brutal. And they're
Mm-hmm.
still brutal, but I know how to take it with a grain of salt to this day and just water up a duck's back. But that's mostly in-person engagement, not
Right.
remember social media. It's permanent, really, right? Like if somebody says something, you can't really erase it. So
Mm-hmm.
like Lindsay and Kelly hit on, I don't think that it should be any bearing on how you live your life work wise, because I don't think it has any bearing on what you do unless they have a strict policy of you must be a drinker to work here. And
We don't like you.
yeah, you're not adhering to it because we do great benders on the weekends, and but yeah, you're entitled to your privacy. I think that's also a part of it. So hey,
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. I
Oh,
think
you gotta-
in general, like I said, this isn't like a hard, fast rule I had just since I've been alcohol free or having the podcast.
Right.
This was a rule I always had in place for myself, even prior.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing for me is like kind of a little bit hitting on that is that I never post anything. So when I met with, oh, hey, I heard your podcast, and I was kind of like, what? Like, oh,
Mhm.
like, and I have to think, oh, well, Tracy must have posted something and that mutual friend saw it. In fact, I was at another 50th party. There was two, actually, another thing, but it was back to back. It was Friday and Saturday. And then on Saturday, a buddy of mine's like, yeah, I downloaded your podcast. And I was like, what?
Amazing.
Like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I've listened to it. I listened to your episode. And I was like, I never in a million years would have thought that. I was like, cool. What did you think? He goes, it's good. But I think too, people are nice. Some people are just nice, and who knows? But
and who knows? That's the thing, right? It's out there. And I think the whole point of this podcast and posting and whatever we do with our alcohol-free lifestyle, it's to live our truth.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what have we learned? My word of the year for 2023 is truth, because I see how much through our guests and through my own journey, how much not living your truth holds you back. And when you live out loud, you live your truth, you subconsciously liberate other people to live their own truth.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I said to my coworker is I said, I'm super proud of what we've done, because I know we've reached people and we've helped people.
For sure.
And
And you never know who's listening.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
Listening in your, I guess, right? That's
What's that?
like who's listening in your world, and you
Who's
get
listening? I
shocked.
know. It's so, I love those moments though. When I was telling you guys before we hit record that my chiropractor, so shout out to Dr. Sam, he listens to all our episodes, and it's just
Woohoo!
like, yeah, and it just makes me feel so grateful, and it's still shocking to me. Like Mike said, it's like, really? You do? So yeah, the more we put ourselves out there, the more people that are listening, and that person may not be struggling with alcohol themselves, but maybe they have a friend, and then they can say, hey, listen to this podcast. Like the more it's out there, the more we could possibly help people.
Yeah.
That just happened to me, actually. A friend of ours, too, Kel, from high school, just reached out to me about her cousin, because her cousin must have recently went alcohol free. She had put a post on Facebook. And so she told her about the podcast and is trying to connect us, and said maybe she wants to come on and be a guest at some point and tell her story. But yeah, that was a friend of ours reaching out on behalf of their family, right?
Awesome. Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else is going on out there, Lindsay?
Well, I
Lindsay's going to tell us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't really have any stories about Christmas. I mean, I had an alcohol-free Christmas. Everybody knows that I am alcohol-free. So
How was your Christmas Eve, Linz?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was alcohol-free. My mom's
Everybody was
was-
well behaved over there.
Everybody was so well behaved, and everybody left. I mean, we were all, I think, done by 9.
Oh, for Santa. You were home in time for Santa.
For
Nice.
sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, lots less drinking at my mom's than there used to be. That's for sure. And it's a really positive thing, because now my sisters have kids. So they're there and they're like 7 and under, and they're super excited for Christmas. And I just can't imagine being wasted around them, because Christmas is really just, I mean, a lot of people just use it as an excuse to binge drink, get wasted. And I'm
Totally.
like, it's not. No, stop doing that. But for me, it's the dating thing, right? Meeting people. I always get the question in some form or another, the why don't you drink?
Do you think
And
that's a fair
sometimes-
question? Sorry. Do you think that's a fair question?
I'm not offended by it.
Yeah, that's good.
But I guess I could ask the other person, why do you drink? You know what I mean?
I mean, do you think that if a guy's asking you, why don't you drink? Do you think it's more related to, did you have a problem?
Right.
Did
Yes,
something
that's
happen?
exactly what they're trying to get at. I think people are too afraid to be like, so were you an alcoholic? That's what
Right.
people want to know when they ask you, so why don't you drink? They want to know the
Fair.
rock bottom. Yeah.
Fair. That's fair enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
fair,
that's-
because if you're going to get into a relationship with somebody
Right.
long term, you don't want it
Yep.
to come out 3 years later. Oh, by the way, I'm recovering
Alcoholic. Yeah.
When do you tell people this, Lindsay? When does it come up? In like while you're chatting, or
It
when
could
you meet them?
be- No, because it's going to be chatting, because they're like, let's go for drinks, right? That's what everybody defaults to. Can I take you out for a drink? And my answer is, well, no, because I don't drink. How about a coffee? In the chatting stage, somebody might be like, oh, you don't drink ? And I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't align with my lifestyle. And I sort of feel the need to be like, I wasn't a physically dependent alcoholic, if that's what you need to know. But I usually don't say that. I'm just like, it really doesn't align with my lifestyle. I haven't had a drink in 3 years, and I'm not going to change for anybody. And I feel like a lot of people are looking for a drinking buddy when they are selecting somebody to date. My recent experience with somebody was that this person that I went out with a couple times really liked whiskey. And I was like, that's cool. I'm not bothered by it. I don't care if you're a drinker. I don't care if you drink around me. It doesn't trigger me. It is what it is. And we went out on a date. We went to this show, and maybe we were at this place for 2 hours, and he had 6 whiskey drinks, and I had to drive his truck
Red
back.
flag.
Right? When he kind of looked at me and was like, are you going to drive? First of all, I'm thinking to myself is, you're
Wait,
trying to
did
present-
he pick you up for this date? Like,
no, he did
Okay.
not. right? Red flag. First of all, that's a red flag, right? So, anyways, yeah, I had to drive his vehicle back. I actually had to drop his friends off as well in the vehicle
Lindsay.
because he picked them up.
Oh
You know what I
my
mean? And
God.
I'm just
I'd be
wow.
like, see you later. Oh my gosh, there's my car. Bye.
Yeah, I would have been like, I'm going to just take a cab back to wherever my car is and I'll see you later. But yeah, so ultimately, we didn't end up continuing on. We
That was your
chatted for a
last
bit
date.
after that, but that was our last date. And when I think about it, I was like, I wasn't even sad because there was a lot of stuff there that when I look back, I'm like, oh, okay, well, he has a full like whiskey bar in his place, which is fine. But I just think he really wanted a partner that was a drinker. And sometimes my, I guess, insecurities will creep up and I'll be like, oh, that's why I'm single because I don't drink, or it's going to be more difficult for me to find a partner because I don't drink. But there are people that I connect with. It's not a match, but they're like, that's admirable that you don't.
Yes.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
Yeah.
I think
And
a
I
lot of
said-
people ask you why you don't drink because
Mhm.
they're astonished at the fact that people actually choose not to drink these days.
Right.
Right.
I think they're just curious, like, oh my gosh, you don't drink? How did you
Yeah.
do that? Kind of thing,
Mhm.
because they don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
I had a person reach out to me over the holidays after I posted my 2-year anniversary.
Mhm.
And they said, oh my God, you haven't drank for 2 years. They were actually sober for a couple of years because they had a couple young kids and stopped drinking. But then I guess as their kids got older, they got back into drinking. And yeah, that was kind of their reaction. Oh my God, you're not drinking? I can't
Mm.
imagine my life without drinking right now.
Right.
So I think a lot of people ask for that reason
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
I love your
But
answer. Liz. I love that.
I like your
Aw.
I love that answer. But I make it pretty clear, not right away, but like if they ask what about my drinking, I don't think I could say I don't care if you drink or not. I'm not triggered. I would say it depends what your relationship is with alcohol.
Well, that's true. I
That's
definitely
more-
don't want somebody who abuses it, who
Right.
binges and blacks out and is abusive and turns into a completely different person. That to me, I will not tolerate that.
Well, and I
And
said
I've,
to you,
I've been that person.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. No
I-
judgment to people who drink
No.
and people who want drinking buddies.
No.
Not at all. But I said to Lindsay last night, I said, it's good that you figured it out on the second date
Yes.
because I was with somebody for 4 months. He was a boyfriend and
Right, I remember that.
he either wasn't honest with his drinking or he thought, oh, maybe I can change
Right.
because it didn't come up. But in the end, that's the reason why we broke up, because he wanted a drinking buddy. And I mean, there's other reasons it wouldn't have continued, but
Sure.
he just really missed drinking. And we would go away for a weekend and he would go home, like drop me off on Sunday night and go home and drink his face off because he missed it. So it's like,
And he
you know,
moderated around you probably.
he did drink around me, but not a lot. Would
Not a
be
lot,
like
so-
1 or 2 drinks, strong
And
drinks. but
he
yeah.
wasn't being his true self, I guess.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I was gonna
So-
say.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe one
Yeah.
day he will give up alcohol. Maybe he won't. It doesn't matter now. That was a long
Right.
time ago. But
Mhm.
yeah. And that was sad when it ended because we had spent 4 months
Yes.
together. So
It's
finding
hard.
out on the second date is like way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, Lindsay, when you said you have that insecurity, like I've met so many people out there that
I
don't
do
drink.
sometimes.
You
I
know?
do. Sometimes that
know.
creeps into the back of my head and I'm like, no, like
No.
don't like that's not a thing. But it's just such a common practice. It's such a common dating thing, sharing drinks with somebody, sharing wine. And I feel like it can put people off. But at this point, I'm so strong and aligned with who I am that I don't care. And if those people judge me or don't want to be with me because I am living an alcohol-free life, good, like
Yeah.
good.
They're
That's
not
the
your
point.
person
They're
anyways,
not my
right?
person.
No.
Which you know that deep down inside.
For sure.
Even when those insecurities creep in, you know
For
that
sure.
your worth is more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're
100%.
not going to have to sacrifice that, Lindsay.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
you're
For
not
sure.
going to.
Hey, Linz, do you actively search for non-drinkers?
No.
No, there's no way to
No.
do that, or
Yes. You know what? I think maybe on some online dating apps, you probably could filter
Mhm.
that. But if you can see people's location for alcohol and drugs, some apps it will give you the ability to mark if you know never drink in moderation or like all the time. And also too, if somebody is holding a bottle of whiskey in their profile picture,
Yes.
swipe left.
Yeah.
If
Red
it actually
flag.
says in your red flag, if it says in your profile that you enjoy drinking every week, like I don't know, some people the way they word it, I'm like, oh, so you drink
Yeah.
a lot. I don't even swipe left.
Yeah.
Next.
If you can see that it's a
Um,
big part of their life, either by
yeah.
what they write or their pictures, then you know you're not going
Yeah.
to be a match. And again, no
No.
judgment. I was
No
there.
judgment.
My
Yeah,
God.
no judgment.
I drank till I was 43.
But like if
Mhm.
you've got your shirt off in a picture and you're a sweaty mess and you're drinking out of the bottle, I'm not gonna, match with you. But I have mine set to none under
Yeah,
alcohol.
me
So, and
too.
it's funny because these people can see that and yet they still
They don't look at
They don't-
they
they
see
don't
your
pay
picture and they're
attention.
like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, look
she's
at
hot.
this gorgeous
Yeah.
woman. I don't care what any of that
She's
says.
not,
I
they're
gotta
not
be-
looking at your drinking stats.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
have a
looking at
feeling
some
that-
other stats there,
Yeah.
Linz.
They're looking at some other goods, right?
Yeah.
Do you mention anything about it in your profile? Like saying,
No.
what I mean by that saying is, I'm not looking for a guy with a whiskey bar per se, or something along those lines. But
Maybe I
care.
should.
Yeah.
Should I add that? What do you guys
Yeah.
think?
I think I have had that once. I put something like,
Mm.
I don't drink alcohol and I don't mind if you do, but if that's important to you, then we won't be a match or something like that.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's
Like
a
nothing
good
too
thing.
heavy, just kind of
Yeah.
like, here's the fact. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything in my profile. I usually don't, but I
You
will
usually
be
let Kelly write it
honest.
for you, and then you write Kelly.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm
I
not
am
I'm not on
honest.
anything right now.
In like the alcohol category. And it's funny though, like that a dating app will have that an alcohol category. Do you drink
Well, good thing
moderate?
though,
is
because
kinda good,
otherwise
'cause
you
you
could
can't
be
filter.
completely blindsided, right?
But people also
Yeah.
can lie,
Well,
like
true,
it's
true.
it's just like you can write anything you want there.
For sure.
Like
And
the part where it says, do you want a relationship?
Yes, that part. The part where it says you're
Yes,
five,
I do.
5'11".
No, no.
If you're
Oh my
5'11"
God,
and you meet in
Lindsay, tell
person and you're
that
like,
one. I
I'm like
forgot about that.
5'11". I'm 5'2", and I don't think that you are.
Because she met
5'11".
somebody in person that was 5'8" and he said 5'11" on the app.
Oh, really?
That's a lot
Yeah.
of guys though.
3
God, I
inches
met
is a
so
lot.
many
I mean, that's a lot. Wow.
guys lie about their height all the
Oh,
time.
But you know what? It's the same guys that bitch about women using filters. That's a whole
Mhm.
thing too. I'm like, really? You're not 5'11". So, but that's the thing. It's like dating brings up all these insecurities or something. And it's not just in women, it's in men too.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, like, why, if you're starting out and your profile has a bunch of lies in it, I don't know. Do you believe you're 5'11", or is that like, what are you doing? Just be honest. I don't know.
We always go back to dating talk.
Yeah. Well, now
should
we're
just
going to
have
get
a-
more serious because there was some things happening over the holidays. More recently, they had the new drinking guidelines.
Yes.
Who's
hallelujah.
they? Who's they?
The World Health Organization.
What is it? So I don't know anything about this, so please
It
enlighten.
says this. It was released, I can't remember,
was
January
re-
2023. So in January,
It says no amount of alcohol is safe.
correct. It's the
Anything
new
more than 2 drinks a
statements.
week is at a risk. They have done research over the last decade because the last guidelines that were updated was 2011.
Correct.
And in the research that they've done, what they've discovered is one, that alcohol is carcinogen.
Yep.
Carcinogen.
A group A carcinogen, which is the same as asbestos,
Radiation and
radiation.
tobacco.
Mhm.
So it causes 7 types of cancer.
Mm.
The 2 leading types are breast and colon, which I know Lindsay has spoken about the breast cancer related to wine. On average, there's 7,000 cancer deaths a year related to alcohol. And the risk is
Crazy.
higher with every additional drink you drink a week, basically. And they're trying to create warning signs, or they want warning signs and labels on bottles and cans like they do with cigarettes.
There
And
should
of
be.
course, they're getting major pushback from the
Of course they
alcohol
are.
providers.
It's coming. It's coming. I feel it. I think we're going to have them.
Well, listen to this. Half of all alcohol attributable cancers in the World Health Organization in the European region are caused by light to moderate alcohol consumption. Half of all alcohol related cancers. So, the light and moderate drinking pattern is responsible for the majority of alcohol attributable breast cancer in women. We're not talking heavy binge drinking. We're talking like a few drinks a week. Like,
Yeah.
this is the truth. This is all backed by research. So I think way to go, and people need to know the truth.
It's very
Yeah.
exciting that this is being put out there in the media now after it being
Mhm.
so glamorized, as we've talked about many a times. And they were talking about too how the fact that wine has been touted as having health benefits is just basically
Bullshit.
fake news.
Well, here's what
And-
I heard here. Before we move on, I just want to say this because I read this and it just popped in my head as you said your last statement there, Tracy. So let me get this correct. Saying that wine is healthy for you because it contains resveratrol is like saying poison soup is healthy for you because it has broccoli in it.
Right. Right.
Very good point. Good analogy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't think you would eat poison soup with broccoli and be like, well, it's totally healthy for you because you're getting a serving of veggies.
Mhm.
Well, we have talked about this, and I had mentioned the fact that once you learn this stuff, you can't unlearn it. I think all of us have probably really educated ourselves on the effects of alcohol since we quit drinking. I know I
Mhm.
have. And for me, I just said this a couple weeks ago that if there was no other reason why I wouldn't drink again, it would be because I'm educated now on what it's actually doing to my body.
Right.
That is enough for me to never want to do it again because I care about my health. I like my brain and how it operates, and I don't want to deteriorate it by having drinks.
Mm.
So, one thing that I've mentioned probably before is I listen to the Huberman Lab, the Huberman podcast, and he has a great episode that's all directly related to how alcohol affects your body and your mind. So I highly recommend that if this wasn't enough information for people out there. But what really shocked me about this was that a friend of mine actually posted this on their Facebook, which I was really happy to see because this friend isn't particularly someone that totes alcohol free or anything. And I know they used to drink and maybe they're not drinking as much anymore, but they put it on their Facebook page and said, just note to friends to read and educate yourself and drink with caution, basically. And a whole debate ended up happening on their page. about
Do
it.
people get triggered because they don't want to give it up?
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
too, a woman posted it. I'm on a community page in my community, right? And it's a woman specific. And a woman posted on the community page asking people what they thought about this. And so many people were just basically, their attitude was like, I don't care. Life's short. If I want to drink and that's what makes me feel good and blah, blah, blah. And if that's my one treat a day is a glass or a bottle of wine, then that's what I'm going to do. And I was just like, wow.
So do you think that's how they really feel, or do you think that change is just feeling too hard for them?
I honestly, I think that people just completely almost ignore it.
Yeah,
They're not
I used
taking
to.
it seriously, right?
I knew this. I knew that it caused cancer. I knew how bad it was for me. It had caused my gout, and I still
Mhm.
wasn't ready to give it up. So I get it. I get where they're coming from. But what I just say about truth, that I knew the truth and it was eating away at me because I've always tried to live a healthy lifestyle and take care of my body. When I knew I was destroying it deep down, but I would make comments like that for sure while I was drinking.
It would piss me off before I quit drinking. I would just get so triggered. I would almost feel like, oh, do you think you're better than me?
Mhm.
Or just, I would have that same life is short mentality. But if you logically think about it, if you're saying life is short, you're consuming a substance that's going to make it even shorter.
Yeah. And
You're
if you have
not-
kids and you have like things you want to do in your
It
life,
doesn't make
like,
sense, like at
No.
all. And I think change is really difficult.
especially if it's a coping mechanism and they don't
For
know any other
sure.
coping mechanisms.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's their source of numbing out,
Mhm.
and people associate it with being fun, but it just doesn't make sense. We always use the YOLO or the life is
No,
short.
My kids say that nobody says that anymore.
We are cool, okay, Kelly? But we use those terms to justify
I know.
bad
I
habits
do.
and bad behaviors. Like, oh,
Mhm.
YOLO, I'm going to go spend the money I don't have. Life is short. I'm going to have the cigarettes. Life is short. I'm going to drink the alcohol on a weeknight and have 17 mimosas at brunch. But when you
Mhm.
think about it, how are you functioning? It's causing you stress and anxiety in the future. You might be YOLOing now, but tomorrow you're gonna be like, what the hell did I do?
With the hangover and everything.
Yes.
I know I was that person. I know, and maybe not every single person that's abusing alcohol feels this way, but I know what it's like to be that like, oh, you only live once. I'm just gonna I'm gonna get another bottle of wine open
Yep.
here. And in the moment, it's like this persona and this fun thing, but yeah, day to day, that truth ate away at me until I couldn't freaking stand myself anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just haven't had that experience or they
Right.
haven't got to that point yet.
Right. But it's in there. They have the information now. So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
carry on with your life and make those choices when deep down you know this could be causing severe problems for your future. I didn't hear what you said there, Mike. What was?
What did I say? I don't
Sorry. I was on a
Okay.
rant.
Ooh, we're ranty today.
I am. Well,
Good and ranty.
this
Back
stuff
at it.
fires me up, but I always try and take a step back and remember, wait, that was me.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was me too. So
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I said. It was maybe they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's in there. The seed is planted.
The voice,
The
little
voice, the
Mhm.
intuition, the voice, the truth, the knowing, whatever you want to call it. It's always, and it'll get louder and louder and louder.
Like I said in my post, when I posted it on our page there, was that once you learn this information and you've been alcohol free, you want to share it with people.
Mhm.
But you also feel that urge to hold back because you don't want to seem like you're judging, like, or that you're trying to preach either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like you have this knowledge and you just want to shout it to the rooftops
Mhm.
because you want everybody to know, and also to realize that when you get on the other side of it, how great it is
It's
and how great you
amazing.
feel.
Yes.
Because people, when they're not having that experience and they're stuck in the rut of it, numbing yourself to everything puts you in a state of denial as well. And maybe that's what's going on with some of these people.
Yeah.
Another thing I think is interesting is that I saw a clip on one of the sober social medias I follow, and it was a clip of Jamie Lee Curtis. I think Lindsay's shaking her head because she probably saw this clip, but she had a history in her family of alcoholism. And she was saying how she stopped the cycle and that will be her legacy. And that's how I feel.
that
Like I
just gave me
totally
chills.
resonated with
Yeah, me
that
too.
because if that's my legacy, I'm okay with that because that's how I feel. My alcohol-free journey kind of turned into me stopping that cycle within my own family. And I
Like,
think people
even
have to
just
ask themselves, what
the
do they
fact
want
that-
their legacy or
Yeah.
their life to be?
just the fact that you guys had your alcohol-free Christmas trace, when we know that you've shared lots of your family history on the podcast here, like that just makes me want to cry. It makes
Mhm.
me so happy for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. That's why you get so passionate about it, just like you are right now, Kel.
Mhm.
because you're on the other side of it and you just want people to understand because it is scary. It's scary for
That's
people to
shame,
think
it's
about
scary. The unknown,
stopping,
the
giving it
unknown
up.
is scary.
until you're on the other side of it. I was shit scared. I was like, I'm
Mhm.
not going to have anything to do. I'm going to be bored. No one's going to want to hang out with me. How am I going to cope? What am I going to do? And what am I going to drink when I watch Netflix?
Right.
Just all these
All of it,
stupid
because it becomes
thoughts.
part of everything. And even after I quit, I've said this on here before, but even after I quit, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be any good. I'm not
Mhm.
convinced. I'm not convinced this is going to be fun, but I can't stay on myself anymore. And other people have done it. So let's just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really know until you're on the other side. You're kind of in a unique position because we've lived both ways. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
somebody who's contemplating, like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I want to do this. Maybe they've given up alcohol for dry January, dry February. I mean, like myself, 6 months was the longest I went, but I was like, meh. You don't really know. And it can suck at first and be hard. But when
Mhm.
you're really on the other side, it's just like something just clicks.
Yeah.
Your brain, your heart, like everything in you is like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't believe for 1 second, I see this all the time. People are telling me about their ailments or they're posting about how they aren't feeling well, but you see them posting that they're drinking wine on the weekend. And I'm like, hello, can I just start by telling you something really simple? You got to cut out the booze.
Yeah. You don't
People
think
are
those
like,
two things are related?
right. Or people like,
Mm-mm.
Linz, what are you doing? You look really good. Well, let me
I-
tell you, step one, cut out the alcohol.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nothing
yes.
ages you like alcohol. Nothing ages
Yes.
you like alcohol.
Stop drinking. I don't care if you're only drinking on the weekend. Your body cannot process toxins and anything else just from the foods we eat, our environment. If it's busy processing alcohol out of your system, your body is not made to process poison like that. It's so hard on your liver and all of your organs. Or people with like, oh, I just got diagnosed with diabetes and high blood pressure, but they're drinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish
But
that you could
and
see.
doctors don't tell people that.
Very
Like
true.
seeing medical doctors, they're not being
Mm.
told you should really stop drinking. No,
Mhm.
they're still told, and maybe this will change with this new information that's out. No, Mike says no, but well, the cycle is, and I know because I was in it, like they ask you how much you drink, you lie, and then they say like, oh, just try and moderate or cut back.
Mhm.
Well, they know you lie because I think doctors are actually, when they ask you how many drinks a week you have, I think they add like 10, or something, or 4 or whatever. Like,
If they were smart, they should.
yeah, like I don't think I've ever been honest with the doctor when my doctor was like, wow, how much are you
Never.
drinking?
Yeah.
Like when my weight went up by 30 pounds.
But they're not telling people to quit drinking. They're telling people to
No.
cut back if it seems like a lot.
And they're
Yeah.
writing prescriptions. So
Man, do not get me started. Like I'm already
that's a whole can of worms.
Yeah, I kind of wish that I had commented on the one page because of exactly what you said, how we're coming from a unique perspective being on both sides of it. I kind of regret it after the fact. It felt like there was an opportunity there for me to speak from both sides
Mhm.
and to potentially give someone the opportunity to consider a change.
Well, and that's the thing I think we can do, like Trace, how you were just saying, you could become preachy and all of that. I think all we can do is just speak our truth from our own experience.
Mhm.
And then they have that information. They can do what they want with that. So, yeah.
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 Either way, I think it's all good. We've said too before, what did we say? We called alcohol turning into cigarettes, right? Isn't this kind of what's happening?
That is, I think, give it 2 more decades, 20 years, and alcohol, like your time is limited. It will be like cigarettes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because then I think millennials, they're actually the ones that aren't drinking as much or something anymore. It's people that I find that are my age, like 40s, 30s, that are 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I think, that are drinking. But I don't know. kids in
Mhm.
their 20s aren't going out
No.
and getting
Nope.
shit-faced and
No, my 18-year-old
I mean, they
doesn't drink
are,
at all.
but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The
it's
18-year-old
not such a
doesn't drink at
bad
all.
thing to not
Mm-mm.
drink anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
It's being talked about more.
my almost 17-year-old is not interested. And then the almost 27-year-old did go through, I think, the partying stage, but he will go out
Mhm.
to the bar and things like that
Mhm.
every once in a while, but doesn't want to. He struggles with hangovers. I'm like,
Yeah,
my
it's
God, if
horrible.
you're struggling now at 26, like, whew, wait till you get to 40.
Yeah,
But
it's
no, he's
terrible.
not a big drinker.
I know I mentioned this to you guys, but I'm not sure I spoke about it on the podcast. But my nephew and his girlfriend, who are in university, listen to every one of our episodes, and they talked to me, and I think it made them really conscious actually of the binge drinking that goes on in
Mm.
university. And I thought it was really cool to have conversations with them about it and get their perspective. Again, it just kind of gave them something else to think about, and they really saw it from a different perspective. So I thought it was really cool that at their age and their stage of life that they were listening and paying attention. I know a big part of it was to support me, but they were taking stuff from it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having these type of conversations about binge drinking and stuff. So I thought that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's bringing awareness. That's what I hope we're doing
Mhm.
here. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for some upcoming episodes. We have some of our listeners as some of our guests.
I know we have a big lineup of guests. We have 6
Yeah.
guests we have to look forward to,
Ooh.
and I'm sure we'll have some hot topics to talk about. But
For sure.
yeah, it's very
And-
exciting. It's so nice to be back and
Mhm.
see you guys, and yeah.
Yay.
That was
Okay.
so
Whoever is
enthusiastic.
listening, if there's any topics that you want to hear us talk about, we love that kind of feedback for
Yeah,
sure.
Kel, go ahead and wrap up if you want. Tell them how to find us and where to give the feedback.
Oh, well, we're on Instagram at Laugh Life Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to a Facebook community where we share. Our
In there,
Instagram
yeah.
accounts are linked in there, and our email address. So reach out, give us a review, share with your friends. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, guys. Until next time, keep laughing.
Laughing. Yay.
Good night. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Please give us a 5-star rating, like and subscribe, share on social media, and tell your friends. We love getting your feedback and ideas of what you'd like to hear on upcoming episodes of the Laugh Life podcast. If you yourself are living alcohol-free and want to share your story here, please reach out.